so a lot of the stuff we kind of talked about, I'm not, I saw that, but we talked about in our lead meetings, just, having our treatment agreements up, and then maybe treatment agreements up, and our learning targets, those are the two main things that we really want in everybody's classrooms. And I've talked to all about, technology and active modeling class, and just, the engagement piece, which I know is happening, but I wanted to say it out loud so everybody was on the same page. Appreciate everything you're doing. I know, talking to all of you, that the concerns have been, we are overwhelmed, and there's a ton more coming at us, and nothing's coming off our plate, and we're aware of that, and I don't have an answer, but we're gonna keep working and just keep sharing that, and we'll figure it out. But I do appreciate all that you guys have done, and we're trying to figure out this Canvas piece with students that are going home, yet they're still in person learning. So know that we're still trying to figure out the best solution to that, but at this one time, the best answer we have is still Canvas. So with that being said, I turn it over to Ms. Angela King. She's gonna kind of talk to us about some tricks.
And you may clarify some things too, because Ms. Lowry shared this agenda with me, and she designed it, and I think it's a format that all the departments are using. And I understand that this is your first PLC today. Did it look like this last year? Did it look a little different?
Somewhat, same
pieces and parts?
Things.
Okay.
Yep.
So, so you're familiar with some of these things, like the mission and the goal and the norms. One of the things that Lowry said we probably need to talk about, or maybe to consider when we get together next time, is the roles that you might possess within the group and the team. I know Dan was an excellent timekeeper. That one.
Very good. I'm running for that
Emphatic,
again.
punctual. If there's competition, is there competition for
I'm
any
the best
timekeeper?
candidate, so.
Okay, well, I
There will
expect
be
to
no
see
election.
posters in the hallway next year, but that might be against COVID protocol, so you'll have to get those approved with Knapp to make sure you can do that. But that's one thing, a scribe, someone to take notes. Oh, it looks official, Dan, you're in. That's all it took. So you willed it into
That
place.
good.
A scribe, note taker, fill in, task manager, then the Canvas techie person. I don't know if y'all have some other roles too, because I know you have more people in that, but if you've got someone who's kind of like nailing it with the video filming and the markup and annotation of PDFs and things like that, and how to set up quizzes and how to share them and pull things from the commons, if Thetford might be good for that, I don't know. But y'all are all jumping into it. I mean, that's kind of what we talked about yesterday. You guys have been digging into Canvas the last couple of years, and we're about to learn even more about the features of Canvas, I imagine, with students working from home. And so I hope to show you some things about that later, but that's something to maybe consider, because I think when y'all get together next time, there might be some more conversation about that.
So as official timekeeper, I need to know what time we are supposed to be done.
My understanding is that PLC starts at 9:05. We pushed a little 5 minutes, but they run about 40-45 minutes.
Okay,
So
9:50?
Let's do 30 minutes a day.
30 minutes today, okay.
These guys got things they gotta do.
So 9:35?
Yeah. That works.
9:35.
All right.
All right.
Okay,
We
that's
have
good.
22 minutes.
I like a goal. That's like basketball practice. You know when it ends, the worst basketball practices are the ones where you don't know when it's gonna end.
Just keep running.
Those Saturday morning practices where, yes, if you don't do the right thing, you're just running the whole time. So there were some announcements to go through, and Mr. Knapp may be able to clarify some of those, but one is making sure that your accommodations, that you're taking care of your accommodations and you're filling out your paperwork and you're taking care of those things. You know what you see in the Skyward Code. You're learning more about your kids. I know that's probably challenging with them digital kids, in-person kids, one day digital, the next day in person. But that, and then also making sure that they're getting the accommodations they need, whether they're in Edgenuity, Canvas, or here at school.
And just as a quick thing, I know you've all done your accommodation tracker that's in there. Have you all signed each student? Have you had that opportunity yet and go and sign, whether it been electronically for SPED, or maybe go to Ms. Kroll's office and sign the paperwork? Excellent, thank you guys. And as kids change, which is happening all the time, I'll be very intentional in trying to, if you drop a kid, to take you off that kid, and then when you get a new kid to add you on, you should just get a link, saying, hey, this is your new folder in there.
But if you don't, who should we?
If you don't, just email me and say, hey,
I already got one.
I didn't get this, I don't have this folder for this kiddo, and we'll get that to you.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, because some of these things, I know y'all have talked at more length than I have. Sub-binders, super important. I never thought they were super important a long time ago, because I was at school every day, and now I just think about, like, hearing some of you talk about how kids are here one day, they're gone the next day. People are going home and checking in and checking out, and just making sure that administrators can jump in if they need to support you where you are. You know, if Dan misses all of next week because he's not on a cruise.
Don't tease me.
And well, I know you have a big celebratory day today, so
I do.
I probably can't tempt you
And I already
too
had
much
a
with
student give me Twizzlers.
Oh,
jeez.
that's a good start.
What am I missing?
And it's not her birthday, she
She's diet ended
Oh,
today.
that's nice. Yeah.
He what?
His diet ended today.
He's
Oh.
he's
down
reached
20-some pounds.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, you know what? Yeah, I jumped straight to all the business talk, and I skipped the positive. Celebrations. There we go. See,
Me and Greg,
Dan got Twizzlers. Yeah.
me and Greg are losing weight. I do
Yeah.
have a student, positive vibe or celebration.
Mm-hmm.
Students have handled the whole COVID thing fantastically.
Yeah.
They're doing pretty well.
They have been really well, no complaining about the masks.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that what have we had, the 2 weeks these have been up, they're still up.
Yeah.
And
they've
there's
been
not
great.
nasty drawings
Yes,
all
I
over
know.
them.
Yeah.
I'm very impressed.
Oh, that's awesome. Like it's been an experience to see just what it's been like with everyone back in the hallways and kids in classes and whatnot. So that's good to hear. So yeah, with that in mind, having those sub binders, and especially since y'all have some people teaching some new subjects that they haven't taught before, you know, it's anything we can do to help each other and to help the administrators. And that way, if you're out for some reason, that we can find a way to keep the kids engaged in whatever the content or the activities are. Personal side note, not on this agenda. I'm sure sub binders are supposed to be like a physical form, or can they be
They're
digital
electronic,
form?
so
Okay,
everybody's done the electronic form, they've gone in and filled out
Okay.
kind of the important information, as well as have a couple lessons ready to go for.
can it be, I was gonna say, it'd be really nice if it was like all built into a canvas somewhere, but yeah, that's good. So it's something easy to share, yeah, and easy to use and efficient. Planner grades, that I believe is new for social studies, science, and math. I think ELA was doing it last year, 1 grade per week. And I think this year, campus is gonna use the ELA rubric for the planners, but students will have a planner grade in each content area. Like
So social studies content is put up there.
one
so
in October, I think.
Yeah, October 12th through 16th, that's
Mhm.
our week. Just make sure that everybody's checking out the planners, and they'll get a grade in social
Mhm.
studies for that. So instead of four planner grades in English will get 1 planner grade, and math.
What does that rubric look like? Do you mind if we
No,
look at
yeah,
that
go
real
click on
quick?
that for me.
I'm just curious.
I'm glad you asked that, because actually when you do get to see this, and since you have access to it on your agenda, you can link out to that. There's a bullet in here that doesn't apply to you guys. We'll cross that out. This ELA will grade, so that one doesn't count. My understanding from Ms. Lowry is that this shouldn't ever be an activity or an assignment that you spend a lot of time on or you get really hung up on, or that you have to be a big stickler about. You know, it's just basically your kids writing down what's expected of them for the week. Test Friday, notes due this day, those sorts of things.
And you're not.
If I may?
Yeah.
Even the 6th graders are starting to realize this. There's not enough room to write an objective and the actual thing they need to do. And I'll keep banging this drum. I think we can put learning objectives on the assignments. I think planners need to be what they need to do, the assignments they've got back, grades they've got back. Yes, they can put goals in there. I'm really struggling with trying to shorten my objectives up enough to where they can squeeze those in there and still write an assignment.
Yeah, I didn't realize we were writing a
I
weekly
personally feel
goal.
that a planner, we don't write our planners this way. We don't write what we're learning. We write what we need to do.
Mhm.
And so I understand the value of a learning target and speaking to that and the lesson and, putting that on the assignment, but I think they're starting to struggle with, hey, honey, what do you need to do today?
Let me ask, yeah,
And you open up your planner.
Right.
Like,
Let me ask this, how much time is being taken to do planners? Let's start there.
Well,
Is it taking 10 minutes?
It can take anywhere 3 to 4 minutes because it's take out your planner. All right,
Yeah.
now I need you to open up to today's page, and I guess what Angela was saying, do we just take 10 minutes or whatever on a Monday and knock it out for the entire week, or it would seem to me if you're going to use it, you you would want them touching it as much as possible daily or whatever. So I don't know, I'm just trying to figure out
Could the
what makes
lesson
most sense.
objective be, and they got squares, is there like a notes section maybe at the bottom somewhere, even in the thing? And just,
Well,
so I know
what I do, and you probably already do this,
You need one?
Star, but
I got one.
since you
Yeah,
don't meet
mine's
every
somewhere.
day,
Here it is.
so like I say, you're on Thursday, and you don't meet with that same group on Friday, I'll go ahead and use the Friday box
Yeah.
for Thursday, so they've
I
got
just tell
actually
them to,
two
like, double
boxes
up. Yeah.
every day that they can use, so I found out that they actually do have enough.
That's what I told
Okay.
them this
'Cause
year.
you might
Last
have-
year we didn't,
yeah.
you know, cause we were meeting every day, but
Mhm.
this year we have less classes a day, so it's like you
Right.
can double
You
up
got
on
an
your
extra box.
boxes
You got
and,
two boxes to one.
And
you know.
and you might have one learning objective.
I was gonna say, and if the
for
learning target's the same,
The 2 times you see them that week or the 3 times
Mhm.
you see them, and then.
so then you can write that across, you know,
Is it
or
a
whatever
design?
makes sense.
Is it just is that what the planner looks like?
Yeah.
So it's a legit planner, it's not like a.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, it's
I
legit.
forget, we've had
It's-
the nice ones now, we don't print them like we used to 20 years ago.
but it's also, I mean, it's not necessarily set up, it's just like a list of the content areas, and I think that confuses some kids, cause in first period I have social studies, but that's at the bottom of my planner. So I think that kinda confuses some, cause just the way our brains work, you know, some
Yeah.
kids don't work that way, and I'm like, well, just
Yeah.
make it what it needs to be for you.
And that's exactly
You
what
know, just
Valerie
scratch
said
out
was-
whatever and,
Yeah, like
you
you
know.
guys know your kids, what they should be writing down, what they need to write down for the week, and really not spending too much time stressing or worrying about it.
Okay.
But I do think
Does
like
that kinda
those,
help a little
but
bit?
those questions like with the time.
Yeah,
Like the time and the space, because the space can't be changed, the space is the space, the planners are created,
yeah.
but
This is gonna be a grade for every class, right?
It's gonna
Yeah.
be, yes, but you're not doing it every week, so like social studies, you're gonna put a grade
Just
in
this one time.
October, I think we said October 12th, that week, October 12th to 16th. That's when you're gonna be looking at the planner for a grade,
Okay.
but you only have to look at, for that.
Are we looking at just that week, or are you
Yes.
looking at
No, we're looking for all classes,
Mhm.
right?
Yes.
No.
I mean,
No,
is it
no.
just social studies?
I think it's
you,
just,
you are only looking at
Yeah.
social
Yeah.
studies, you're not
For
checking
that week.
everything, cause there's
Okay.
no way you can know it all. So you go in October 12th through 16th and you
Huh.
go, here's the learning target, they wrote it down, there's a map due Friday, there's test on Tuesday, check 100.
yeah, so you're only checking them for your content area during
Yeah.
that week. I mean, cause the next week, somebody else is in those subjects doing
Okay,
it.
so as far as us inputting a grade for the planner,
Mhm.
it's gonna be like every 4 weeks.
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
Each core
Mhm.
class will do it
Correct.
Yeah.
a week.
Yep.
Correct. So your date would be October 12th.
So at least it's not piling a bunch of stuff on us,
Yeah.
it's just simple, look at our class, did they write the learning
Mhm.
targets?
And then their weekly goal, like I didn't realize we were doing a weekly goal in the planner, that's something brand new that I've
Okay.
heard of, so I don't know anything about that. And I don't know
Look
where
into
that
that.
came from, or if it's a
Like if
behavior
there's
goal,
like if
or
there's
is
a
it,
specific expectation for it,
yeah,
I'm
and,
not sure.
you
Yeah, I'm
know,
with Greg, I'd like to see okay, these are the assignments that we didn't, that we're doing, or we
Yeah.
have to do,
Well, cause that's what, yeah, I mean, that's what
that's what a planner is.
that's what you would write down, you would say meeting on Friday.
yeah,
But-
Yeah, I would need to
Okay.
probably just get like a copy of it and draw it out myself, so that I can then say, okay, this
Mhm.
is how you should do it.
Yeah, so
Well,
I would say.
that is, if you want your kids to do it a certain uniform way, you say.
Yeah, cause we're gonna be looking at.
October 12th, write this learning objective,
Yep.
fill these
Yeah.
things in this way.
And I'd have to figure out what there's, weekly goals too, and I'm assuming, what's the big idea for this week, like, here, there's what and that might be the learning target, boom.
I was gonna
But-
say, yeah, is the weekly goal like my personal goal of what I wanna accomplish in this
Well,
class, or is
it-
oh, it's right there?
Yeah,
I
there's
didn't
3 of
see
them,
that,
and it's
okay.
not tied to any, subject specific.
Oh, okay.
So is it a personal goal, is it an academic goal,
Because
Are you saying the binder there's something that says that?
it's.
yeah,
it's
there's a
on
weekly
the
goal,
side, yeah.
yep, it's got a goal, reminder, and action step.
We asked
Three
about
times.
that, because I think you're right, like clarity on that space, because that's a space for every class they have, right? Like.
Yeah, I think in
Yeah.
total, so I guess you would
Okay.
probably coach them on like, all right, if you're struggling in math, what are you gonna do to,
Mm-hmm.
and then the sentence too, vocab, word of the week, used
Mhm.
as sentence in the college-bound thoughts area, so.
It'd be nice, I think what would probably maybe be helpful would be someone to draw like a little exemplar model of what that might look like.
Yeah,
Like maybe we can make one of those for social studies, it's like, this is what it would look like, cause I would need to see what that looks like too, like, a weekly goal in English might be different from one in
So
sixth
what if
grade
we,
show.
what if we changed, you know, having the learning objective or learning target to simplified? Meaning instead of, I can describe and explain the causes of the American Revolution, what if we just shortened it up to causes of the American Revolution?
Yeah, I mean,
Would
to
that be
me, I think,
acceptable?
yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, you guys are grading, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And we're just making sure that they're utilizing their planner. So I think that, because I wrote down here in the notes, I said, obviously, what's mostly important to you, and what we keep harping on is, hey, kids are missing work, you're getting it done. So as a planner, from a parent perspective, I want to know, hey, I'm glad you talked about the American Revolution, but I'm also needing, I'm missing 2 assignments, and these are the assignments listed. So the parents checking it, they're like,
Mhm.
what's going on here?
Well, that's what I'm saying, if we shortened up and
Yeah.
just simplified the learning target, then we would have room and time to,
Mhm.
all right, causes of the American Revolution, you know, tournament bracket. You know, and that's what we have to do.
Yeah, I agree. And that's to me, that's a conversation y'all would all have with your kids about, like, hey, here's what, this is the objective for the week. Let's talk about, like, what are the keywords here and what are we gonna put in our.
And I think whatever y'all, and again,
Yeah.
you can decide as a PLC, but you can also decide as an individual teacher, saying, hey, this is what I feel is the most important in that, and if they're doing that, then.
So we can make it our own as long as we do.
And that's,
I'm gonna say
and
yes
that's
to
a
that.
skill,
If I
right?
get pushback,
'Cause-
well, I'll definitely let
Yeah.
you know, but I think that's appropriate.
yeah,
At the end of the day, is your binder being used, and is it being used as a tool to help them be more successful in your classroom?
Oh, sorry, one thing to jump in, I just noticed, so would we as a teacher go through and sign off? There's a signature of support, so,
You can either put, I've done it where you just put a check mark and you can put your initials or whatever,
Okay.
Mhm.
just to say, hey, I've checked it, that way if anybody says, hey, I checked on the week of October
That's true.
16th, then we'll just check.
well, and what's nice about that too, on just a student point,
That's
is
their
that,
time to-
is that you say,
We have 8 minutes.
when that kid says, I did this and you didn't grade it, then
Mhm.
you say, I signed them all on this day, your planner does not have that signature, you did not get it signed, you know what I mean? How,
yeah.
Okay, I wrote down some notes on that to kinda ask about, like, what does the weekly goal mean? Maybe a little clarity there. And maybe some kind of like exemplar of what it might look like, but it's probably gonna take y'all, hopefully, not too long to do that and get moving. Treatment agreements, Mr. Knapp spoke a little bit about that, but one thing that I heard Holt emphasize was that this goal right here, this weekly goal that you have with your class, like, we're going to address each other in a friendly manner, I don't know, let's say that's the goal, whatever it is, or raise hand to share. Alright, well, if Greg's class gets to the end of the week and they've mastered that goal, then they can talk about what the next goal is. Or Greg may say, I've also identified, you know what, we're gonna tweak the goal for next week, but that it should be an ongoing changing thing, whatever it is, so.
And I wonder if that, I'm gonna throw it out, I wonder if that should be, or maybe potentially in your plan or your weekly goal too.
Yeah, I mean, I think that.
I don't know, I'm throwing ideas out, but
Yeah,
if that's
maybe.
a goal
Mhm.
to work on too.
But yeah, that's a goal that, like, hopefully it doesn't take them all year to do that, but you never know, they're middle school kids. But whatever it is, that the goal is flexible to the needs of your class. It gives you a leverage to talk with your kids about whatever that thing is, to identify and say, you know what? I'm stepping back and I'm seeing this concern in class, and we're gonna write that into a goal, and we're all gonna be held accountable to it, and we're gonna have conversations about it until we get it down. I saw Jenny do that a few times last year. It was really good about, like, saying, no, we are focusing on this one goal. There's a lot of stuff we have to focus on. We're gonna get this. And if you see that growth in it, then you move on. I don't think there's an expectation that you're changing it all the week, every week. It's based on you guys and the progress you see in your class, but that it is something that we can kind of tweak and play around with, as well. So, something to think about. But there's one primary thing that I've gotta get y'all to, by the way. And Miss Lowry said to tell that if you had a problem with the Friday Night Lights, that was her. That's apparently her favorite movie of all time. Y'all watch Friday Night Lights?
Well, that's the show, actually.
Never
Yeah.
seen it.
That one.
Well, you're talking to someone who grew up in Odessa, so I had the book and I got it signed by football players from the 80s when they were doing the Friday Night Lights, when Coach Gaines was up
Did
there.
you meet Boogie Miles?
No, I didn't,
No.
but I watched from the top stands of Ratliff Stadium, I watched those games, and it was her thing. The show's good, it's not my favorite TV show, but it's her favorite TV show, so if you wanna garner good faith with
Never seen it.
Miss Lowry, then just start quoting some stuff. Particularly season 5 is moving for her, so check that out, but, you know me, I would put, something
Good.
I would put
Take
something
notes.
goofy
I like
and
it.
not too serious in there. One of the things that I think I do have to have y'all do today probably today, is this teacher method survey. It's a Google form, and that's why I shared the agenda with you, so you can take part in this survey. The survey, I've maximized so much, I lost my mouse, where'd it go? There it is really about, the purpose of this survey, from my understanding, is to ask you guys for honest feedback about what you do really well, and what you think you might wanna learn more about, or areas where you may wanna grow. It's not any kind of gotcha stuff. It's more like, it's kinda like when you want your kids to take the CBA and be honest about it, and it's not high pressure, we need to see where you are, or when you have your kids shoot layups, you need to go, okay, the reality is that we're missing all of them, our footwork is terrible, and we gotta get, like, we need the real information. Like, you guys have some really great strengths across your team, and I know that you have areas where you're seeking to grow, because I've had those conversations, we've talked about those things. That's what this survey is about. So if you take a few minutes to do that, it really is about, like, what are you doing, what's working, how often do you use it, do you share it with other people? If you see something in here that you do, but it's called something different, click it anyway. There are probably a lot of things y'all do that you may not identify as Kagan strategies, but they are Kagan strategies, like when you tell your friend to turn to another friend and share on the shoulder. You don't have to call it by whatever the technical term is, but I think what I like about this from a coach perspective is that the information that comes out of this from social studies and science and math and whatever will paint a picture of, kind of as a team, the things y'all want to work on within this PLC time space. The things that the campus does. 3 minutes? Did you say 30 minutes? Okay. So the survey is important, and the reason I tell you that is that this data that's used here, I think we'll probably talk about again in the future, and it will be used to design some opportunities within the PLC time as well. But again, this is not a feel bad about what you don't do or what you do. That may be it for that, but I did want to show you, because I told you I would show you a couple of things, okay?
Can we actually?
Yeah, go ahead.
Can we
Sure.
spend the next 3 minutes just filling out this survey?
Absolutely,
And then,
yes, sir.
we will, cause you had some, I want to give you the fair time as well to show the things you want to do.
No, let's do it, because we can
Let's use
save
this
that.
time now to just get that survey done. It's gonna take some.
I'm having to learn how to do
Oh,
it.
yeah.
Oh my gosh, stop, it's done.
So what are you,
Oh.
is this in, what are you in right now?
So this is Markup, just a regular Markup
Okay.
app that I found last year when we were doing that. But you know, for my ESL kids, and I didn't have my document camera, and I probably would have just used it,
Yeah.
because to me it's easier, it feels more real. I don't know if that makes sense.
No, it does, yeah.
But for this, it was good for them, because then they could follow along and like underline the right words and hear me say them, and I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, so, but I like the idea of them being able to do it too, because then I thought, oh, where is it? Oh, look, and it turned.
Oh, yeah.
I did that.
So this is just the Markup app.
So, yeah.
Is it an Apple one, or just a Markup app?
I think it's
That's
the-
nice.
I don't know what it is actually, but,
Okay.
and you can like pull into, or pull from, is it that? Oh no, maybe it's add. I don't remember. I had to learn how to, oh yeah, you can pull from Dropbox, or, oh, it says URL.
Okay.
So I wonder if you can pull from,
Yeah, you might be able to do the same thing.
because if you're saying you're using Markup on Safari, then I wonder if that's what this is. I just searched, you know, because last year when we were on this Webex, I wanted to be able to, like, you know, write and show the kids, so I hooked this up to that, and you know, you can't show videos that way because it doesn't work.
So what Rick showed me the other day was that when you go into your Safari, and I'm gonna go to, actually, you know what, I'm gonna do it through Canvas for you, because I set up something to play around with.
Okay.
Whatever you want to mark up, it has to be in Safari. So it can't be a link to something in Canvas, it can't be linked to a Google document, it can't even be linked to Newsella if you have the app, because if you have the app, it'll force it to the app instead of the browser. So we
Yeah.
gotta get to the browser.
Oh, okay.
So what we did is I tried it a bunch of different ways, cause I wanted to see, I mean, ideally you could do through Google, cause we have
Yeah.
everything in Google,
Right.
but no. So instead I'm gonna pick this article, which is just a news story from
Okay.
El Paso. And once you get here, you've got all the stuff. I mean, I don't love that has all the other,
I
you know,
know,
whatever's
yeah.
ads
You
and,
have to be real
ads and things
careful,
here.
too.
Yes. And
Especially, yeah.
but once you find the thing you want to annotate, then you click that markup button and you can mark it up. And
That's
Rick
cool.
was showing me this and I was like, well, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like a phone. So like I got all my tools down here to do stuff. If I would go two hands, then I actually could annotate like this is interesting, you know, read each paragraph, find the one thing that's interesting, dun, dun, dun. And then when you're finished, when your kids are finished, and say there'll be a pretty good teach piece here, but once they learn how to do it, they can mark
Yeah.
up anything
Yeah.
online. They click that share button.
So we could do even to teach them something funny, like go find this picture of something and, you know, add to the drawing.
Oh, you actually have to turn off your tools. That's interesting. That didn't happen with the other one. So then you go share, and so then there's even more options, because I could email it to you if you want 100 emails, or I can drop it to my Google Drive. But I can also, if you have set up an assignment, an actual assignment, it can't be a page of any of that. It's got to be an assignment. And if you do that, then they go here, they pick their course. They go find whatever the assignment is.
Awesome.
And it should be submitted. I need more play around with this. Like
Yeah,
I need to go to
yeah.
my computer and look at Speed
And look
Grader
and
to
see
see
what happens,
if that
yeah.
popped up.
Well, that's awesome.
What is this?
See, I wonder if it would work with this.
Oh, absolutely.
So then, because that's what we're doing today, is they're
Yeah.
gonna take all this information and they're gonna, you know, like if the caddo live here, hold on, I gotta mark it up. So how do I do that? So, markup. Can you see?
Oh, yeah. So you've got your
Okay.
markup tools.
So if I have them say like, you know, here's the Gulf Coastal Plains. There's a password here. Unlock document. Oh,
Oh, really?
I have a password to draw on that.
Where is
let
it?
me-
Where is it? Is it on their website, someone's website?
Well, it says it's a PDF. Yeah, it's just a website. But here, we'll find one. We just gotta work with it. See on that.
Yeah. So you just have to, so like I found a map that I wanted to annotate, and I had to download the file, and then the only way I could get kids to well, I guess you could link it on Canvas
And then let's see if this one works. Where's my this? This says it's free. Out to okay, and then all right. So Gulf Coastal Plains. So let's say I'm talking about the caddo. So I want you to like draw the caddo's home. You know, and I want you to draw like what they do. You're gonna draw some corn, maybe. You know. And then here we're gonna draw. You know, we're just gonna draw pictures, like a collage or a map or whatever. When I draw my horse, this takes me.
I've lost you. This is why your video is going to be 20 minutes.
Yeah. Yes.
How many horses is she going to draw?
Missed that part. Yeah, I get fun. I mean, I just like go crazy. Anyway, but that's what I'm thinking is that like we could do that so quickly. Like as I'm reading, even open this map, do this thing. As I'm reading, you're drawing what you hear. Or you're doing like graffiti notes or something.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And then so if I take that, but I don't have a Canvas assignment set up, but I have.
You can dump it in any assignment, just to check it if you wanted to. If you
Yeah.
remember to
So
go
that
back.
said, oh, that's student, but that whenever I did that. It said comment. Oh, I hit course maybe.
Yeah,
I
you'll
don't
pick
have
your
any courses.
the comment part is where you'd say, "I miss that bird." You know,
Oh.
I'm turning in my map. I hope you get it.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm sure they ask you that.
They do all the time.
If you have any feedback for me, please let me know.
Yeah. So I don't see that, but you know, if I went in there and set that up, but you can email it or whatever.
When I was talking to Store Guard and Dan about this yesterday too, and we were just pulling up random things, and I pulled up a Regions of Texas map, but it was from an Allen ISD PowerPoint, like but they were PDF slides.
Yeah.
It was pretty interesting. I don't think I have it on here. Basecamp. I need to go get it. because it was a good way to see that when I clicked on that one slide I wanted to annotate, it put the whole presentation on the side.
Oh, that's
Those
cool.
10 slides,
Yeah.
and I could click through the slides and I could mark them up
Wow,
and then.
yeah.
So, you
That's
know, you
cool
might
too.
be able to say, well, here's the region
Yeah.
presentation, it has 10 slides, we're gonna do
Well,
some doodling
and
as we go through.
That's I mean, that is good, because then they can annotate it as, like, if you share it with everybody, and then they're working on it, or like, yeah, I like that.
Yeah. I'm here with Mr. Knapp,
How you doing?
experienced veteran middle school principal after 6 weeks of
Hardcore,
uh,
6
the
weeks.
first COVID middle school year.
That's right. I mean, who else has that experience?
Y'all are trailblazing in all the
Trailblazing,
ways.
all the way.
So, okay, so we'll just reflect and talk.
Okay.
I guess what I was curious about, because, you know, initially when I thought it would be awesome to do like a PLC, for social studies, I think what it turned more into is doing something like what y'all would actually do as an administrator if the person hosting the PLC couldn't show up. You would have probably stepped in to get it going,
Right.
probably like, so,
Well, I mean, I think it's twofold. I think as administrator, obviously, the instructional coach, so you want to kind of guide that. But you know, really, what we want to get our PLCs is it's kind of being run by the team. I just don't think we've got to that point yet with our social department that there's a point person or team aspect there where they know their own agenda and they're tracking that themselves,
Right.
saying, hey, last week we met on this is the data we pulled. Here's where we should go. What do we want to do? That's obviously where we want to eventually end up getting.
Right.
So they're not waiting for an administrator to lead that or an instructional coach to lead that. But I think because we're still very green in the process of what the PLC community experience, it's still it's viewed as we have PLC today instead of realizing it's you're doing PLC every day. It's just what you're doing, and this is our check-in time to sort of see, you know, how did it work this week? Did it not work well this week? You know, as we prep for the assessments that we want to do, looking at these specific TEKs that we were measuring, how did your kids understand it compared to ours? You know,
Right.
and that's the piece I think we really want to get to. You know, I do say these first couple ones are very much just kind of getting through the minutia of, you know, have we done this? Have we done this? Yes, good. Have we done it? Good,
Right.
good. And we still haven't quite settled into that point yet where we're looking at data, you know, and tying our PLC to our campus improvement goal of, you know, 100% of our kids are going to make 1 year academic growth, and how's that going to look specifically in social studies?
right. Yeah, and I think that's something that, you know, having been here in the kind of social studies capacity for the last 4 years, and I think we've talked about it too, they've had a different team almost every year.
Yeah.
So every year they've had a reset on PLC and any relationship building and getting to know each other and building the trust. And so every year that's new. I think they're in a really good place right now to go forward with that. But you're right about, you know, this meeting was more about sub-binders and accommodations and turning in first year paperwork and all that kind of stuff. And so it was good to fill in and be a part of that conversations. It really helped to talk to Lowry ahead of time and to have attended a couple of PLCs the day before with Holt and kind of hear the message that the administration team was giving out in those PLCs. But I definitely look forward to a period where it is led by them and it's serving their needs. You know, it's serving their students' needs and their instructional needs, because individually, and even like Dan and Greg are really great about working together, innovating, planning. They really care about what they're doing with their kids, but I don't think that they use the PLC to further them as a whole group.
Right. And I think they do a great job as a team. It's been able to broaden that out now. But even within that team, you know, still coaching and being like, hey, we got these activities that we've been honing in and fine tuning, especially for their 8th grade subject. Obviously, in their 7th grade for Dan and 6th grade for Greg, that's kind of a new realm again. So they're trying to learn that as they go, and you can definitely see between the 2 grades the content that's there. But I think the bigger focus that we're really trying to get our social studies teachers to understand is really, we still get caught up on teaching content, which is vitally important. But what we've discussed in the PLC, and they brought it up, is we really want to focus on the process skills. And so when we're discussing our lesson plans and when they're discussing, you know, their activities, you know, are they looking at it through the lens of the process skills with the content that's filling that in? But are we sitting down and saying, hey, our goal is, and our data that we're collecting is, we want to make sure kids are critically thinking on all aspects of the thing, and we want to assess that critical thinking through this activity on this content, instead of it being flip roles of here's the content and did we get any critical thinking in on that? No, we got the content. So that's the mind shift that I think we're trying to get our teachers to get to is you're gonna be overwhelmed with content because there's so much of it.
Right.
But if you can strip that away a little bit and say, hey, let's focus on the power standards or the process skills or the big things that we want them to do, and then tie the curriculum into that.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the stress that they may be feeling comes off. But I also think you get much richer results in the long run because when if we're using the CPAs or the 8th grade STAR test coming up, we have no idea really what they're asking. We have an idea what they're going to ask, but we don't know what the story's going to put in, what questions. But if a kid can critically think and can analyze the information that's given to them and be able to process all that, it doesn't matter what content is in front of them.
Right.
They're going to be successful.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and that's, I think, what you said, and that's been a part here with some teachers who aren't here anymore, but with history, big focus on like teaching by chapter instead of teaching by learning objectives in the curriculum. And you're right, when you look at a whole textbook of Texas history, people, places, laws, dates, battles, everything, it's really overwhelming to feel like you have to force that content to kids. But the curriculum's been written in a way to narrow the focus, to really dig into the super important learning objectives, understanding motivations, understanding impact, cause and effect, so that teachers can really dig in and have rich lessons and experiences for their kids. But, that's why I'm excited for them. I get excited for them every year because they get to try to start this PLC journey again. And I think that teacher method survey that they were able to, that they had a little time to do is a great start in just seeing like, what are we doing? What are y'all comfortable with? What would you like to learn more about? I popped in there and saw one teacher said, I'm interested in, one of our social studies teachers, Osserman, interested in being recorded teaching and then following up with conversation, feedback, next steps. And it surprised me a little bit, because most people don't go there to, I'm willing to do that. That's really putting yourself out there. But I think that's a great start.
And I think that's the thing about teaching in general is it's very much, it appears as a community, right? Because you're collaborating with your colleagues, but really when you get down to the nitty gritty, you're really working in a silo. You're coming into your classroom with your kids, you learn your kids, and then you're teaching. And that's why that professional community is so important, because then you're taking what you're doing and you're sharing it with what so-and-so is doing, and that's where that collaboration is really good. But it is very important for, teachers to see other teachers. And so, hey, I want you to, I know you taught it in 3rd period, I want you to go see this teacher now teach the same content, and then see if there's anything how they do it just differently that maybe you can learn from it and take back with you. And even that method survey was just, we're not asking you to be professionals and masters of it all, but it's just, I didn't even know that was available, or that sounds like a pretty awesome activity, or I like to try to integrate that a little bit differently into my lessons and see if I can get a more outcome or more engagement out of my students than what my kids are now used to in my classes. And so a lot of validity in that for sure.
Yeah, and I like what you said. I like that part about teachers seeing what other teachers are doing, and it's always hard to find time for that. But also just more conversation about you get in that silo, you get in your room with your kids, with your instruction and your ideas, and it's easy to stay in that space and think that the things that you're dealing with are yours alone. But when you get together and you look at samples of student work and you share those strategies and you've got a good strong PLC with trust and people are sharing and talking, then we go, okay, well, Mr. Knapp's kids are a lot like mine. Collectively, all our kids struggle in this area. Collectively, they're strong in this. But I think it makes you feel less of an island when you get to a point where you can have those kinds of conversations, and
it is,
and move forward
PLC
together.
can see, and I think you said about the norms and having that trust between your colleagues, because it is a very personal moment when I say, if I said, hey, I want you to bring a student's work sample, but I want you to bring the most creative work sample that you've had a student do, right? Well, I might think mine's absolutely creative until I see what my colleagues did, and I'm like, then you have this like kind of self-doubt, and there shouldn't be that self-doubt. It should be like, hey, how did your kids do that? What was the lead up to that? You know, it's not so much about the activity either.
Yeah.
It's about the bigger picture, the processing, the understanding. You know, you might, you know, it could be a menu board, whatever it might be. It's about getting kids, no matter what the product is did they have an opportunity to critically think about their response that they put on that paper or on that presentation?
Yeah.
And are they able to defend it or discuss it? And I find, you know, just as I'm talking to you right now, you think about a bunch of doctors, you know, they go, I defended my dissertation. You know, that's what we're asking kids to do in 6th grade, in 7th grade. Say, hey, defend your opinion, whatever that is. It's right or wrong, it doesn't matter. It's not about being right or wrong. It's about saying, hey, based on the information that I've collected, this is the end product that I've come to, and here's why. And then you share yours, and then, you know, I might say, you know what, I didn't think about it that way. I see now where you're coming from. Still maybe disagree in some areas, but I can see that. And that's the piece of education that we want our kids to get to. And we've discussed that in our PLCs, but it hasn't gone past discussion and into practicality and into action, into students using that.
Did you see more of that in elementary?
So I think you see a lot more collaboration in elementary than I would say in middle school, because of how it's designed. I mean, for a lot, unless you're departmentalized, and even departmentalized, you know, you're focusing on that subject and you're collaborating and it's there. But because teachers are, you know, if they are compartmentalized, you know, they're prepping for, you know, 4 or 5 different subjects, you know, it's too much to do by yourself. So you almost are forced to lean on other colleagues. Say, hey, what are you doing? How are you doing it? Can I borrow that? You're more comfortable to have those authentic conversations with teachers and sort of say, hey, what are you doing? And as a team, when you're having your team meetings, there's a lot more sharing collaboration, because you may have really prepped up the math and I may have prepped up the science just because of the time to prep. But now I'm sharing with you why we're doing it, where we're going, how we want to do it. You as a teacher still go and teach it how you're going to teach it, but that collaboration is still there. I would say in elementary school, an area that we need to improve is the backup of that. So you had the discussion of the planning and how you want the lessons to be taught and what the activities that need to be done and whatever, but there isn't that post conversation as much to say, how did you go?
Right.
Let me see you, let's compare work, let's see here, because you're prepping for the next one, you know? And so I think it's providing teachers that time, which time is what we have the biggest, that's what we don't have the most of, is we're always prepping for the next thing instead of taking some time to reflect on some of the things that we had done. And is there a more efficient, more productive way to prepare for the next lesson going forward? Did we actually look at the data and say, hey, you know what? I don't need to teach this because they already know it. Let's not waste my time 2 weeks on this when I've already done a pre-assessment, they know it. I use that data. I might cover it a little bit here, but let's go, let's keep going. Or I don't need to teach maybe the facts because they know, let's go deeper, let's take it another step different. And that's where that data is very important, and that's where that community and conversation amongst your colleagues is there.
Yeah, I agree. It's hard to not always be looking forward to what's next and preparation and feeling like you gotta keep going, which reminded me to thank you for at the end of the PLC, because jumping in on Lowry's agenda, going through the housekeeping, you know, one of the things I wanted to bring was that little piece of technology. You know, I know you guys are using Canvas. Here's a markup tool you can use, and there wasn't time because, you know, and you paused me and said, hey, let's take some time to do the survey. And in that 1 second, I thought, yeah, why did I not do that? You know, because we can increase the time increase the chance it gets completed if we provide the time here, and they don't have to do that later and work it into their own time. So I appreciated you kind of pausing and saying, hey, wait a minute.
But I think on the flip side of that, you know, the lens you're looking for is, hey, I had an opportunity to do the PLC, and we kind of threw you into saying, hey, we had an idea, a plan, and we kind of uprooted that plan. I said, I need you to do this first, and yet you still want to get in because you're like, hey, I have this opportunity for my class to get it done. And I want to make it meaningful for my professor and my thing and go, and And I think as many times in the job in general is like, you know, the district setting stuff down, you need to do this, you need to do this, you need to do this. And I think as an administrator, you have to then kind of be the safety net between what the district and the state and everybody's asking your teachers to do
Right.
and what you actually push out. I'm not saying you don't get to it,
Right.
but just being able to identify and look in the moment and say, this, we'll get to that, but not yet.
Yeah.
And because I think you're absolutely right. I mean, it's that fine line of saying, hey, we got things we got to do, and we're professionals, we got to do it. But at the same time, we're humans, and we got a lot on our plate. And I don't want to, as an administrator, I don't want to burn out my teachers. My good ones or my bad ones. I want them to enjoy coming. I want to walk alongside them and coach them up, and find the weakness and make them better there. Find the strengths and make them better there. And then let them feel comfortable in a safe environment where when I leave that room, the conversation's still pure and there, and it doesn't go like, well, he's gone now, let's go back to whatever we want. That's when you know your culture is really getting there. As that, hey, you can walk in as the leader, as the admin, and the conversation doesn't change. It just you add to it, you step out of it, how it needs to be, and kind of ebb and flow. And that's kind of where it's at. So absolutely, I think giving teachers that time to process what the information we gave them, just like we're asking our students to process the information.
We do the same thing in class with kids, and I gotta get to this and I gotta get to that.
Step back a little bit, less, I always say less is more, I don't need more content, I need more time to let kids digest it, understand it, think about it, toy with it, and then come up with an answer.
Well, that survey was big thinking. The markup tip was quick, and I saw, I mentioned it earlier before you hop back in, and I saw Thetford go, I wanna learn that, and so I caught up with her later, and we just kinda sat down and checked it out, played around with it, and she showed me different tools she's using, but sometimes it's just pausing and saying, you know what, it was a priority for them to be able to have some time to do some thinking on that survey. So, I appreciated that,
I appreciate you stepping in,
You just have to remind yourself to, and I'm sure y'all do stuff like that all the time, and, I think it's kind of good to jump in on something like that and be a part of those conversations, because most of the PLC work I've done with them in the past is guided by what they need, what they want, and like you said, trying to kind of temper how much you're pushing out, because we all have ideas about things that we think will be great and helpful and wonderful and all that, but so I appreciate you being in there and this time and this chat today.
You're welcome. Thank you very much.
Did you wink at the camera?
I did.